Hi everyone. In this video, I want to talk about 5 things that seemingly I no longer do now that I am in my 60s. And these 5 things came to mind because, as you all know from my last video, and thank you for all the lovely comments, I am in the process of selling my home. I just purchased a new home. I'm going to be renovating the new home. I'm trying to keep this home very clean for when people come to see it, for potential buyers. And I've been so stressed out. I have to be honest about this. I mean, my channel is called Small Retired Life, but sometimes, at least nowadays, I feel like my life isn't very small because there is so much stress. Even though technically, I mean, not much has changed right now. I'm still here. I'm still just filming. I'm leading my regular life. But it's the other side, like it's kind of like the bookmarks that are a little bit chaotic right now. So I was thinking about the fact that I'm just dealing with things differently than when, let's say, I moved into this place 5 years ago, and I was in my 50s still at the time, and I've dealt with renovations and chaos and change differently in my 40s. But now that I'm in my 60s and I'm retired, there's like this new paradigm, and there's like 5 things that really stand out to me. So I want to talk about them in this video and see if you all feel the same, if you're going through the same type of thing, and just would love to hear your own opinions. Hi, my name is Raina, and this is Small Retired Life. And on my channel, we talk about all things retirement, living our life in our 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. If you're new, welcome here. What I think happens when we hit our 60s, probably late 50s, 60s, is that we start seeing time differently, and we have a different view on what really matters and what doesn't matter. I think it's beneficial to, once you hit your 60s especially, and especially if you're retired, to stop doing certain things. This has really come home to me because, as I mentioned, I'm super stressed and I'm feeling tired. Like I almost want to sleep all the time, which is so not like me, because if anything, I tend to move a little bit quickly. Like my brain works fast. I like to move quickly. I don't like to sit around too much, but recently I've had the total opposite. And what I've come to realize is that I often associate sitting still with laziness. And I think that goes way back to when I used to work, and I had this boss who used to always say to me, if you don't walk fast, you're a lazy person, and you're the type of person who doesn't try very hard. And even though I know that's a ridiculous statement now, back then when I was very young and very impressionable, I somehow grasped onto that concept and felt that if I was a person who just did things very slowly or who rested a lot, that I was this lazy person. Now that I'm in my 60s, that belief system, that tenet, whatever you want to call it, has completely left the room. I have stopped apologizing for resting. How many times have any of you said to yourselves, oh, I'm feeling so lazy, I haven't done anything meaningful today, my life is passing me by, I'm sitting around too much, I'm doing too much knitting, I'm doing too much reading, I'm not doing anything productive. Let me just say, that is the hardest thing to get out of your system once you retire. And I think it's because we have been so conditioned to move to someone else's timetable. And this really came to the forefront as I'm dealing with contractor and renovations and picking things for the new place and keeping this place clean all the time. I feel like if I'm not moving around and if I'm not doing something, that I'm doing something wrong. I realize that I told myself the one thing I wouldn't do anymore is to apologize for resting, for taking my time, for being a little bit more deliberate. So I urge you that, especially if you're newly retired, but even if you've been retired for a while, if you really struggle with this concept that you're just not doing enough, stop apologizing for resting. Resting is okay. This is your time. You're the boss of your time. And if you want to rest, and resting could mean different things to different people. I'm not saying that resting means you go and have a nap or you sit in a chair. For some people, it is doing a hobby that just gives them a mental break, or maybe some kind of a sport or something like that. That's completely their own. That they're just doing because they absolutely love it. It's their time. It is what rests their mind, rests their body in some cases. Like if you are like the type of person like myself who's always feeling that you should be running around and doing things, and maybe sitting and reading a book and resting is totally okay. It's a good thing, as Martha Stewart would say. I find part of consistently running around and moving and doing things and pushing yourself to do things hankers back to that whole concept of when you've had children, when you were working, when you felt like you had to be productive all the time. And moving a lot and doing a lot of things and being busy was almost like a sign that you were a good person. You were the right kind of person. There was a lot of accolades associated with hustling, or I guess just being busy all the time. And now that I'm in my 60s, I realize that, you know what? I don't need that anymore. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. And therefore, resting and doing nothing and just taking a time out is absolutely okay. I think choosing peace over productivity is a sign that you've matured into who you are and being your own person, especially when technically you're your own boss. Because even if you're not, let's say, working in retirement or doing a side gig like I am, or whatever, you're still your own boss. And therefore, you're the one who is the boss of your time, and resting is okay. The second thing that I've stopped doing in my 60s is trying to please everyone. And I have to remind myself of this now because, you know, everyone has an opinion as to what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And there is this part of me, and I think that's very common to a lot of women especially, is that we want to make everyone happy. We want to please everyone. We want to be the mediator. We just want peace. And I've come to realize that there's a lot of things in my life I would have done differently if I just stopped trying to please someone else and went with my own gut instinct or with my own desire for what I wanted to do. Well, you know what? You're in your 60s. It's your time. You do you. You do what you want to do, and stop trying to please other people. The reality is, at this age, we actually only have so much time left on this earth. I know it's a morbid thought, but it is reality. So use the time that you have to stop worrying about what other people are thinking and trying to make them like you by doing the things that they want you to do or that they're suggesting, even in a good way. Like they're not trying to be pushy, or they're not trying to necessarily tell you what to do, but they are steering you into a certain direction. Well, it's time for you to really think about what you want to do, what your decision is, and please yourself. It's not a selfish thing. It's just, you know, you're in your 60s. And like I said, you do you. I think trying to please other people is really exhausting. Once you hit this age, you truly do have a limited amount of energy, or your energy is just not the way it used to be when you were younger. My motto is use your energy wisely, put it in the right place, and trying to please other people uses up too much precious energy. So just please yourself. Do things that give you joy, decide things and make decisions that make you happy. I think 3 questions to ask yourself is, do I want to do this? Do I have the energy for it? Am I truly doing it for myself and because I want to and not for other people? To me, that is the litmus test that I pass through a lot of my decision making. The third thing I have stopped doing is I have stopped ignoring my health and wellness. I used to just ignore when I was feeling off or when I was feeling tired. I would push through pain. I would do all kinds of things that probably weren't very beneficial for me and my body, but it was something that you did because you were working or you were a parent and you didn't really have the time to sit there and navel gaze and focus on your own health. Nowadays, I do put a huge emphasis on my health and well-being. I don't do this by running to the doctor and by listening to every little single ache and pain that my body is experiencing. Instead, I'm doing it by trying to be preventative. So I make sure I move and I take my walks. Even now when things are crazy and I don't feel like doing it, I push myself to get out every day and at least take a walk. I try and eat healthy, get lots of protein in as we're supposed to at this age. Try to take control of what I'm putting in my body, what I'm subjecting my body to, and use the time that I have to make it work for me, to allow myself that luxury of doing things that are beneficial. Sometimes when we're younger and we're working, we don't have the time. Well, now I have the time, so I'm trying to take it. I'm no longer just putting it off till tomorrow. It's even more important once you hit your 60s to look after your health and to ensure that you take preventative measures, because as you age, the quality of your life will depend on a couple of things. And one of the big things is mobility, the ability to move well and to be able to pick up things and pick up bags of groceries. These are the types of things that allow you to have independence for a longer period of time as you age. Whenever you start having mobility issues, you have to depend on other people to look after you. So taking care of your mobility by exercising, keeping your weight at a good place, and I'm not talking about becoming skinny or anything like that, but just being in a good place weight-wise and health-wise is really important. The other thing is look after your teeth. A lot of older people who have dental problems, it impacts their ability to take in nutrition, to eat well, and that can spiral someone into poor mental health, weight issues. You could become really frail and not be able to do the things that you normally do for yourself. So it's really important that in your 60s, you're very proactive about taking care of yourself and looking after your health. Health becomes everything. And I always have the example of the older car where when you first get a new car, there's no issues, there's no problems, you just drive it, it goes for a once-a-year checkup. But when your car becomes older, it starts to experience a few more issues and you have to pay attention to those issues. When that warning light comes on, you take it in and you get it checked out. Same thing for your body. I know, kind of a simple analogy, but I think it's very appropriate. The fourth thing that I have stopped doing is I have stopped carrying emotional weight from the past. Now, I tend to be a very forward-looking person. I kind of live in the now and I look forward to the future. I tend to not dwell on the past too much, but sometimes I get bogged down. I go into this spiral where I'm thinking about a decision that I've made that probably wasn't the right one, and I start playing, what if I had done this and what if I had done that? And I spiral into this place where, I can't control what happened in the past. You can't change it. All you can do is move forward. And I do know that as we age, there is this tendency to dwell on things that are in the past, and that emotionally we start to run around in a circle in our brain. And I just really believe it's not productive and it's not healthy. Part of it is that by the time we hit our 60s, we've actually lived a lot of life. And there's been a lot of things that have happened. And of course, there's been good things, but there's been bad things. And for some reason, a lot of people tend to dwell on the mistakes as opposed to the good things that have happened. I'm not sure that's very healthy because, as I said, we can't really control this. We can't change it. We can't go backwards. All we can do is deal with the life that we're living today and the life that we're going to live tomorrow to a certain extent. So expending a lot of emotional energy on the past, I believe, is negative to our well-being, and it can really impact our mental health. This idea of ruminating on stuff that has happened is so negative because we expend all this energy ruminating on the past and worrying about things that have already happened. And we miss out those beautiful moments and the beautiful opportunities that are right here in front of us. It's easy for me to say, but when it comes to bad things in the past, just let them go. It's not that they'll disappear. They're always inside you. Negative moments are also learning moments. So when something bad was happening, we learned from that situation. And people have had very tragic things happen to them. And it's really easy for us to say, oh, well, just move on. That's not how it works. We've learned from our mistakes, from our tragedies, from the bad moments. But dwelling on them consistently does take away the ability to see the good moments, the things that are meaningful now. I've said this previously, when we're in our 60s, we only have so much time left, and I think it's more important to enjoy the moment, to enjoy the people that we have in our life right now, to look at the opportunities that are presenting to ourselves, and that'll be my final topic, and to focus on the now, because ruminating on the past is so unhelpful to our situation today. And so I no longer expend emotional weight on the past. And when I find myself doing it, when I find things kind of turning around in my brain and I'm thinking about, something that's happened like 20 years ago that I can't even change, I immediately consciously stop myself. I get up, I get away from whatever environment I am in, if that means I'm sitting in a chair and I'm looking out the window and this is happening. I get up, I move, I have a cup of tea, or I go outside for a walk. I do something to remove myself from that situation. The other thing that I do is sometimes, because these types of thoughts can really impact my emotional kind of well-being, or it sometimes makes me anxious, I have this breathing exercise, which it's nothing new, it's been around forever. And essentially I breathe in through my nose for a count of 4, and then I hold that breath for a count of 4 at the top, and then I expel it through my nose for a count of 6. And I really push all that air out. And I do this like 5 or 6 or 7 or even 8 times. And I find by the time I do this little exercise, I'm feeling better. It works for me. May not work for you. I'm not saying it cures anything, but it's something to try. Finally, the fifth thing I no longer do is I have stopped believing that the best years are behind me. There is a tendency when we get older to think that our best years are behind us. I was talking to a friend over the phone, I guess it was last year. I hadn't seen him forever and ever, and we just happened to reconnect and we were chatting and we were talking about when we were teenagers, and he was kind of in that place where that seemed to be his best years, his best memories. He kept going back to that time when we were 16, 17, 18, and it was like those were the best years. And I acknowledge I had some great years during that time of my life, but I don't consider them my best years. I don't consider my past life as being my best life, and that there's nothing else that's better moving forward. It's just not true. When I look at myself now, I'm happier than I've ever been. I feel more content than I ever have. I'm doing something completely new. I'm doing YouTube, which has opened up so many different opportunities. And I wouldn't have done this when I was younger. Imagine that you want to learn how to play the piano and you've never learned. Well, even if you're 63 or 64 or 65 or 70, whatever, if you sit down today and you start learning today, a year from now, you'll be able to play something. So it doesn't matter that you're 65 or whatever. You can still learn, you can still do the things that you dream about. There is really not necessarily an expiration date. If you want to run a marathon, you can run a marathon when you're older. Perhaps you're not going to do it as fast as you would have when you were younger, but you can still do it. There is no reason why you can't do things just because you're in your 60s. And there is this societal concept that once you hit your 60s, it's like your best years are over because now you look old, or you're slower, or that type of thing. And it's just not true. And often when you talk to older people, they will tell you that there's so many things they want to do and there's so many things they want to learn. So be that person. Don't live in the past thinking those were your best years. Instead, embrace the idea that every moment is the best moment, and every moment can present an opportunity or something wonderful or something that makes you happy. That is what I am doing. I've just stopped thinking about, that my best years are somehow over. Instead of asking yourself, did I miss my best years? Ask yourself, what's coming up? What can I do next? What can I learn? What's exciting? What makes me happy right now? Focus on the now, focus on the moment, and the concept that every year is a good year and every year affords the opportunity to do something that'll make you happy. So those are the 5 things I really feel we should stop doing when we hit our 60s. You may have a whole bunch of other things that I haven't mentioned and that are important. I would love for you to leave them in the comment section below the video and have a discussion like we always do in the comments. And this is all I have for this week. I will see you all next week at my regular time. Bye.